Viewers, good evening and welcome to Sunday Politics on Trust TV, your hub for robust conversation on politics, policy and governance. I'm Hamza Idris. Tonight we take a stock of the predominant concerns over the controversial tax reform bills of President Bola Tinubu's administration, as the National Assembly seeks to okay one of the pieces of proposed legislations that attract huge public debate, while stakeholders underscore the imperative of recalibrating and streamlining the nation's tax administration to address existing concerns. They, however, kicked against certain provisions on value-added tax, inheritance, removal of education tax, and phase out of some key agencies with attendant effects on the citizens' lives and livelihood. Now that the dust has generated by the tax reform bills appear to have settled, with both chambers of the National Assembly pledging to accommodate stakeholders' concerns before passing the bills, questions are also advanced as to whether the critical observations have been taken care of or not. On Sunday Politics tonight, we're examining some of the major issues that are considered germane in the tax reform bills debate and the commitment of the National Assembly in doing justice to them. We are joined here in the studio by a public policy analyst, Na-Jakku. He is also a retired deputy director of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
Ramadan Karim.
Thank you.
All right.
Mashallah.
But before we delve into the program proper, here are some major developments in the polity. Family of late head of state General Sani Abacha has cautioned former military president General Ibrahim Babangida against tarnishing the image of the former military leader. A statement on Sunday by Mohammed Abacha, the Abacha family noted that General Babangida had in his recent book titled A Journey in Service alleged that the annulment of June 12, 1993 presidential election was the responsibility of the late General Sani Abacha. Abacha's family said the claim sparked widespread controversy and necessitated a clear response in the interest of historical accuracy and justice. The statement, which described the allegations as false, said, and I quote, "Any attempt to shift this blame onto General Sani Abacha, who was a very senior military officer within the regime, is a deliberate distortion of historical facts." End of quote. And elsewhere, Governor Siminalai Fubara of Rivers State has invited Honorable Martins Amewile-led 27 members of Rivers State House of Assembly loyal to the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory for a meeting at the Government House on Monday. The meeting will hold after the expiration of the 48 hours ultimatum issued the governor to present the 2025 state budget. The letter, dated March 9, was signed by the Secretary to the State Government, Dr. Tami Danagogo. The letter read, and I quote, "I hereby write in furtherance of His Excellency's promise stated in my letter dated March 5, 2025 to notify you that His Excellency has received the Supreme Court judgment and has therefore directed me to invite you and your colleagues, the honorable members of the Rivers State House of Assembly, to a meeting to discuss various issues." Once again, welcome to Sunday Politics. Na-Jakku, welcome to the program. You can see two major issues, enough to dominate the program.
Very well.
But our, subject of discussion, of course, is time tax reform bills. But I think you will say a word or two. Let's start with the response by the Abacha family to General Babangida. You expected it?
Of course, I expected it. You see, long before General Ibrahim Babangida launched his book, in interviews he had given hitherto to Nigerian media, he had tried to put blame on late General Abacha for some of his follies. And whether Babangida or his book, each of them generates a lot of heat and a lot of controversy. So I think that it will have been cowardly on the part of General Abacha's family to remain silent, in the in the face of the revelations and the usual blame that Babangida puts on his subordinates or his colleagues on his damaging statecraft. So I think that is in order, and religiously, it's not permissible to actually, blame the dead for such heinous crimes against the Nigerian state.
Even religiously, he ought to have maybe, he should have honored,
Exactly.
since he didn't say it while Abacha
was alive.
Exactly.
And so I think that it's in order. It's quite in order.
But is it deliberate that the Abacha family kept mute for a long time, personally, and then at institutional level? We tried to, talk to them.
Yes, the Abacha family is generally a quiet family.
Just like the hair.
Yes, just like the hair. You will see that there are a lot of children in that family, more than half a dozen. But they go about doing their things quietly. But I think that with the, documentation of this blame, by General Babangida in his book, it's predictable that the Abacha family will respond, to all of those things he said against their late patriarch. Ibrahim Babangida never owns up, for his misdeeds and his mistakes.
And were you surprised? Because Maradona, I was honestly thinking, and many Nigerians, have been thinking that finally, maybe if he is to come out with something, he will take responsibility. Because you sign up a man, if you know you have acted, just take responsibility. Don't, dribble. Don't just go straight and say, okay, this is the reason why I did this. This is the reason why I did this. But I blame maybe my subordinates for not countering my move, something like that.
Yes, unfortunately, he backed out and
pushed the blame.
Yes, pushed the blame on General Mark, General Dogonyaro, General Abacha, and so on and so forth. And mind you, Ibrahim Babangida is not. He's a boastful, general. Quite garrulous, because you remember that in one of his outings he said he was trying to dominate his environment.
To dominate the environment.
I'm quoting him. He said, "I'm trained to dominate my environment," but
what changed now?
Exactly. Everybody knows that the environment overwhelmed him, and at the time he left power and ran away from Abuja to Mina, the environment was just too hot, and he really couldn't handle it. So
how can you compare him with, let's say, Obasanjo, who has written a number of books? You can see given reasons as to why he took certain decisions, and he stands by those decisions till death.
Yes. I think that General Obasanjo is much more honorable, if you like. I can use that word. He's much more honorable than Ibrahim Babangida. And don't forget also, President Obasanjo was probably the very first military officer to, voluntarily hand over power to civilian
government.
To a civilian administration. And so he's tremendously respected. And he is actually much more courageous, he's much more brave than Ibrahim Babangida. And like you said,
he takes responsibility.
Yeah, he takes a responsibility for his
even though he
actions.
He keeps denying like the third term agenda. He refused to admit that. Look, it's true, I wanted it, but considering that I was unable to get it, so be it, or something.
Yes, I think he sinned greatly, not just against God, but also against Nigerians. And I think that the quest for third term by Obasanjo was one of his strategic mistakes. And I think that it's
shouldn't have.
Yes, it's probably his
you think his pedigree will have been
much greater,
assuming he didn't go
much
for that.
greater, much more honorable. And it's probably his own equivalent of June 12, if you like.
All right, then finally on the Babangida thing, do you think the backlash that has been trailing this book maybe will dissuade other leaders from writing their memoir or something like that?
No. It needs not to dissuade other leaders from writing their memoir, because I think that other leaders were not really as controversial as he was. I think that if Gowon writes, he may not attract so much toxic response. And some people tell me that probably Ibrahim Babangida needed not to flog a dead horse, that he probably should have just gone to the grave with his remainder of his thoughts, because it was understandable that any book written by Ibrahim Babangida, especially in explaining, his statecraft around June 12 annulment, could actually, trigger a lot of emotions. Yes, the killing of Vatsa, because especially because Donkat Bali, who was in the thick of it, who was the defense minister, then said, "Look, in retrospect, we actually had no reason to kill General Vatsa." So I'm surprised, because if there was any evidence against him, it was tenuous. It was weak. Yes, and so he said, "Unfortunately, I regretted the fact that I could not stop him being killed."
Now, assuming you are in the gap of Babangida, what do you think he's a happy person now with the
He's not a happy person.
Even though you are also notorious for taking rejoinders and all that.
Exactly.
I remember your days when you
yes, because I also wrote a book, Babangida, Where is the Book? Because this book, he had promised this book in the last 25, 30 years. You understand?
And so people in suspense.
Exactly. So you say if I was in the gap of
IBB, do you think? Okay.
I think there are two things that Babangida will carry to his grave as a very unhappy man. First is the murder of General Mamman Vatsa. Mamman Vatsa was everything to him. In fact, Mamman Vatsa's wife said such was the kind of friendship between Vatsa and General Babangida that Babangida could go to Vatsa's home and drop his clothing and take wear Vatsa's, because their size, they had similar size. He was Vatsa's right-hand man during his marriage and so on and so forth. So, they were emotionally very, very close. And with what Donkat Bali said, it's understandable. I mean, it's quite clear probably that Vatsa ought not to have been killed. And so for many people, especially Vatsa's family, the killing of Vatsa was a betrayal. And Vatsa was a very productive person. He was a professional, and he was a writer. And as an aspiring writer, I think that I like the poet. The author. Mamman Vatsa.
It's actually a very serious.
And so, in addition to the murder of Mamman Vatsa, the other thing is just June 12, because Babangida can never explain the annulment of June 12. And mind you, in serious countries, treachery, like the annulment of June 12, actually led to, formal court trial of the perpetrators of, such kind of national crimes. Sure, coup against Nigeria. You asked us for 8 years, you kept on swearing that you are going to hand over. And when it mattered most, you organized what you call free and fair election. In fact, the freest and the fairest. And then for some devilish reason, you couldn't hand over. And you started flip-flopping, running from pillar to post, until even your subordinates said, "Look, time to go."
All right, let's go briefly to Rivers.
The Vatsa killing and the June 12 thing, I think
they will remain in the annals of history. All right, briefly on Rivers. Can we now say Fubara has swallowed his pride, finally?
Fubara has swallowed his pride, and I think maybe he's maturing, because the odds are stacked against him. He's dealing with a very wily and steely and stubborn and determined foe in the name of Yesom Ezenwo Wike. The whole thing is about the control of the resources and also the political structures of Rivers State. And so far he has lost at the court, because the Supreme Court said, look, your last local government elections are illegal. Yeah, and so
your budget.
And this is the faction of the Rivers State Assembly that is legal. The other one that you are dealing with is illegal. So it's saying go back to the starting blocks, And so I think that it's quite wise of him, to begin to reach out to the Amefule faction of the.
Now people have started predicting that maybe, unless Wiki, allows them, they may not likely honor the invitation tomorrow by 10 a.m. Do you foresee them not going for the meeting with the governor?
Yeah, I don't expect them to go. I think that with the law behind them, they may dig their heels.
Another hole.
Yeah, they may, resist. Fubara is really the dog in the manga now. He has his back to the wall, and
including his immunity. You think?
Yeah, including his immunity, because they are also dangling the question of impeachment over him. But I think that he needs to do really much more to ensure a rapprochement, if you like, between him and those guys. So they may not go. I think they may just reiterate the
issue of him to submit the budget.
Yeah,
and then they find loopholes.
Exactly.
From there, they now continue.
Exactly. I think that it will be a really long-running battle.
But don't you think the winners in court, that is the legislators and Wiki, they should now maybe
they are not magnanimous.
Yeah.
They don't fight fair. They are not magnanimous in victory. They don't fight fair. They don't retreat. They don't surrender. I don't think they will spare Fubara. I think that he will need to use everything in his toolbox to really, be able to remain in government house and survive.
A serious issue there. We hope that maybe they should accept for the interest of the people of Rivers. Because it's now almost 2 years after taking over, but they are still trying to settle the political equation.
Yes.
And I think it is the taxpayers that
are... It's the taxpayers, because they are distracting the governor, and who knows, violence may result. Rivers is a hotbed.
We hope they have a rethink tax reform.
Okay.
As major topic of today, we say concerns ahead of National Assembly passage. Thank you. As a former Deputy Director of Central Bank, you have the spanners and all that to understand the technicalities around this. But then, as usual, this is Sunday. Viewers, you will also have the opportunity to contribute. The major topic of discussion is those concerns still embedded in the tax reform bills ahead of clause-by-clause passage and all that by members of the National Assembly. Once again, Na-Jakku, for some days, maybe the crisis between Natasha and Akpabio in the National Assembly, as we say now, Rivers, is it the defection in political parties? I kind of dwarfed the issue around the tax reform bills. But some Nigerians are really, putting their eyes there, saying, look, we have to remain focused. If not, serious surprises might, spring from the final document for the tax. Do you have some fears as a Nigerian, as a taxpayer, and all that?
Okay, let's start from the beginning. So there is this claim that Nigerian tax system is chaotic, it's unwieldy, and so you need to simplify the tax code. And it was on that basis that President Bola Tinubu empaneled the Tayo Oyedele committee, to look into ways, of streamlining, the tax code, simplifying it, and generally harmonizing it, for people to be able to pay their tax. And so in August 2023, this committee under Tayo Oyedele was empaneled, and as I said, they are, they recommended, some of the recommendations they made include, the scrapping of about 11 laws, tax laws, and the amendment of 13 others.
Yes.
He now put this recommendation into about 4 bills and have sent to the National Assembly. You remember that 2 readings have already been taken in the Senate. If not for the fact that the House of Reps had applied brakes, on the legislation, around tax bills, probably it will have been passed by now. Yeah, because they were really rushing it. So there are genuine fears, around this national tax bill, because if you look at some of the contents, and the mad rush to actually, pass them in a jiffy like that, I think is very concerning. And that's why the likes of Yerima Ngama, former Minister of State Finance under Buhari's government.
Jonathan, right? Jonathan.
Yeah. Okay,
Ngama.
Ngama was Jonathan?
Yeah.
Okay, and then Zulum and the Northern governors, you know, and even the Nigerian Governors Forum, and even more importantly, a constitutional body, the National Economic Council, all kicked, you know, against the national tax bills for understandable reasons.
Yes. So now that we also had the public hearing, you know, various groups. Is it the Arewa Consultative Forum? Is it the, you know, legislators? You know, is it clerics? Even state government. I remember, like Kano, they sent Professor Yadudu and others to go and, you know, kick against some provisions. And then, most importantly, there is the Center for Democratic Development Research and Training in Zaria, you know, with professors like Abubakar Sadiq and all that. They articulated, I think, in October, they also brought out so many issues, which maybe we take one after the other and see whether there are things that the final outcome will really address. One of those things I picked is the so-called absolute power of the president to exempt people from paying tax and its potentials for abuses. Some are saying this is akin to what previous governments did in giving, you know, waivers, maybe for importation or tax holiday and all that. You worked in the central bank. Do you think this is good for the president alone to now say, no matter how powerful you are, I just go without paying tax?
Very good question. That fear is genuine. You know why? No. Because this president has propensity, he has shown propensity for favoritism. If you look at the so-called Lagos Calabar Highway, it was given to High Tech, owned by Gilbert Chaguri, and it's said that either the president or his son or somebody, you know, has shares. You know, it's a part-time owner, you know, of one of those companies. And how much is that highway going for? $13 billion. We don't even have the money.
But they are doing it. Meaning they are getting the money somewhere.
They are doing it.
Is it long? So
yeah, so the very fact that the president wakes up without competitive bidding and awards contract to a construction company in which he or a member of his family has interest, you know, can actually give genuine concern to every patriot that this kind of provision, where the current president, for example, after the tax bill is passed, you know, and you give him unchecked power to exempt or even repeal, you know, tax exemptions, tax waivers, you know, to the companies of his like. I think that is a nightmare. So I think that the question of giving the president, you know, this massive power, to actually exempt or not exempt the companies he likes or dislikes, you know, I think is a question of concern to many Nigerians. But there is another hidden, unsaid, unmentioned fear. Okay. You will recall that when he was governor in Lagos, he actually, his company, whether it's Alpha and Beta or whatever, you know, was given the contract to collect tax on behalf of Lagos State government. So if you could do it, and it gave him an opportunity for state capture of Lagos State. And there is even fear multiple times now about whether he could replicate that at the national level.
At the national level.
Exactly.
Because there is this provision of bringing in consultants.
Exactly, because the Federal Inland Revenue Service is going to be replaced with National Revenue Service, you know, under the tax bill. You understand? So nothing stops him from, again, giving the same company, or you change the name of the company.
A replica of that.
Yeah, you replicate it, and you complete the state capture.
So now, but you can see from the body language of governors, in a way, and even some legislators, it's like they have been settled. I'm sorry to use the word settled. I'm not saying they have been bribed or whatever, but their tone has changed. You don't hear them voicing out that, look, some of these things should not be allowed to go through.
You are correct. And I think it's because we are, I'm sorry to say, dealing with a transactional president. Only Allah knows what must have happened, between that time and now. But for the governors, they probably might have backed down, because some of them have been able to achieve their purpose, in terms of spelling out in broader terms, or more properly, the questions about derivation and distribution and whatever of the tax revenues. You remember, for example, that one of Zulum's main problem is that he was quite stridently opposed to this question of 60% revenues going to states based on derivation.
Yeah.
So Lagos, Lagos, for example, which has been the former federal capital and which has headquarters of many companies and businesses, located there, has the luck, if you like, of collecting probably more taxes than any other state. So if you now say you're going to distribute the tax revenues based on derivation, it means Lagos will get 60%, and only 40% will be available to the rest of the 35 states.
Yeah.
So as far as the governors are concerned, they got a concession, or they recommended, and it's like it has been accepted by the tax committee and other negotiators, that instead of 60% distribution based on derivation, there will be 50% sharing or distribution based on equality of states, which means derivation has been reduced from 60% to 30%.
Yes.
So 30% based on derivation, 20% based on, 60%.
Yes. Maybe derivation, you have derivation, you have the,
Yeah, 50% now will go to all the states based on equality. 30%, 30% will be on derivation. 20% will be on population distribution. So I think for some of the governors, this is fair.
A fair deal.
Yes, that's fair. So they just take it.
But then, Na-Jakku, closely related to this is the issue of reducing taxes to be paid by companies, but a corresponding increase for workers. Because when you look at some of the figures they put there, even though from bird's eye view you will think as if some salary earners would not be paying much, but cumulatively, if you put it, meaning if you are getting around 76,000 or thereabout, what will be deducted from you is much higher than what is being deducted from somebody's salary as at now. Now, who do you think will really draw the attention of the lawmakers to some of these silent issues that gradually is like there is a kind of connivance between state and then corporate organizations at the detriment of poor people like you and me?
Very good question. You have to understand that for so many of us, this tax thing, is rather a distraction. Because you have not created any prosperity, but the government is obsessed with tax. In the midst of hardship, in the midst of poverty. I think that NLC has a role to play here, because frankly speaking, the tax NTB, National Tax Bill, is a kind of Trojan horse. There are a lot of booby traps on the way. And like you have projected, workers, if they relax thinking that the National Tax Bill will favor them, they will find out that they will pay actually much more than they used to pay. But that's not even the issue, Hamza. I think the real issue, the real concern, the real worry of Nigerians is the projected increase in VAT. Because if you increase VAT, the crisis of cost of living will even spiral. It will get out of the hand. Because right now, I think we pay 7.5.
Yes.
Now, according to national tax bill, from 7.5 you go to 10%.
Yes.
And by 2030,
yes,
you pay about 15% VAT.
Almost around 30. Yeah.
Now, meanwhile, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, back in 2013 also, said they had 100 billion naira worth of goods unsold. Now, by 2014, 2024,
yes,
it has their inventory of unsold goods had ballooned to 1.3 or 1.4 trillion. So what it means is that the purchasing power of the people has collapsed. And now when you follow it up with additional VAT, increase in VAT, you have zero purchasing power for almost everybody.
Even though those close to government are saying that maybe the president will tarry a while around that, but some believe that it's a bit tough, as you.
The president will not tarry a while. This administration is a tax and spend administration. They are just looking for money from all sorts of sources, from all corners, and you don't see what they do with it. Already in the last 1 or 2 years, about 130 million Nigerians have been plunged into unspeakable poverty. The IMF, the World Bank, and all of that, they do not understand something. If you tell a third world country, or if you tell Nigeria to remove subsidy on petroleum products, increase electricity tariff, and so on and so forth, that you will have additional resources to spend on education, on healthcare, and all that. It doesn't happen like that in this country. You will have surplus money, of course. You will have plenty of money, but it will be mismanaged. Nigeria's problem, let's face it, is not the quantum of resources.
It's not about the money.
It's not about the money. We have always had money. Nigeria has always been a rich country. Let's face it.
Maybe because you worked up to directorial level at the CBN, so you know what goes in and what gets out.
Hamza, look, there is a lot of money. The thing is that it's been stolen, it's been mismanaged. He's not going to tarry a while.
So it's not about collecting taxes, but judicial
allocation and use of resources. Muzzling, if you like, wrestling corruption down. But this is a country where you see some people who have corruption cases, glaring corruption cases hanging around them, being given a slap on the wrist and being pushed away. And there's some other people, who are sons of, who the government has maybe an axe to grind with. You see them being brought before EFCC, being brought before the court, and being persecuted, and accused of corruption and all of. Why is Beta Edu? Why is Beta Edu the former minister of
humanitarian affairs?
They have killed the matter. Even this Senate president, Akpabio, he still has EFCC case. But today it is the former governor Emmanuel of Akwa Ibom State who is being pushed around on the basis that he has mismanaged or stolen or misappropriated money.
Is there any correlation? Before petrol subsidy removal, they said if it is removed, it will not affect the poor. We have seen the result now. Now they are also saying maybe by the time the VAT is increased, the VAT, the way they are going to calculate it, will not, affect cost of goods and services. Can we say it's not really true?
These are fairy tales, Hamza. These are fairy tales. You remember that for probably several decades we had failed to pass the so-called Petroleum Industry Act, right? And luckily it was passed in the last 3 or 4 years, before the exit of President Muhammadu Buhari. Yeah. But have we really implemented it? Because under Petroleum Industry Act, for example, the oil majors or oil producers or oil companies are supposed to, for example, give priority, to the needs of local refineries. But here, Dangote and federal government going back and forth. You even had the president, putting Wale Edun, the finance minister in charge of a committee that, look, make sure that Dangote Refinery, Walter Smith, and this and other local refineries are given enough, crude oil supply in naira, so that their prices, will be affordable by other Nigerians. But it's not being done. Dangote is buying, Dangote Refinery is buying crude oil from Texas, from Algeria, from Angola, and so on and so forth.
When we have it.
Yeah, when we have it, So this is so look, we have enough laws. It is the implementation of the laws. And the laws cannot be implemented because those who are supposed to implement them are not sincere. So don't believe them when they say VAT will not affect the poor. It's a lie.
All right. Na-Jakku, we'll open the line now so that our viewers across Nigeria and beyond will contribute to the program. Please use the telephone line that will be displayed on your screen. Go straight to the point, don't use foul language. The main topic of discussion is concerns ahead of National Assembly passage of the tax reform bills. As I said earlier, in the studio is Na-Jakku, public policy analyst. He's also a retired deputy director of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Once again, welcome to the program. Now, before we get callers, are you also scared that somewhere in that document that the tax agency will have unfettered access to account details of people any time they want, like you now? If they want, they will say, okay, give us the account details of Na-Jakku. We want to see what entered within the last 1 month and what went out. But before you answer this, we have our first caller on the line. Welcome to the program. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Hamza.
Welcome to the program, Sunday Politics. Yes.
This is S.O. Dutu calling from Cross River State.
From Cross River, all the way. You are welcome. F.O.
Yes, all the way from. I am a regular caller.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening to the retired director in the studio.
Yes, Na-Jakku, yes. You are welcome. So what is your take?
Good evening to our esteemed viewers.
All right.
Tax reform bill. Very, very important.
Okay.
Thank you for this wonderful topic.
All right.
I appreciate the management of Trust TV for giving us this opportunity to contribute to critical national issue like this.
Okay.
Yes, I want to take two aspects of this bill.
Okay.
One, are you there?
Yes, we are with you. Loud and clear. Yes, go ahead.
One, the area of tax collection.
Okay.
If you look at, in those days, we were told that our parents, our grandparents, if they heard that the tax collectors are coming, they will be afraid. Why is it like that? That is to tell us that the tax administration as of then was very strong. And people were afraid if you don't pay tax. But now it is no longer like that. What is that? What is that thing that is causing this? Now, in the area of what the tax is used for, from all indication, if you look at in Nigeria, there are a lot of corruption that is actually that shredded the use of tax money, what is being used for. And from all indication, people are not even willing to pay the tax because the money is not being used for developmental project or purpose that people will see and know that this is what the money we are paying for tax is being used for. It's a very serious concern. I was expecting that these two aspects, the tax administration and the way the tax is being used for, the tax revenue is being used for, the National Assembly will hammer more on this. But if you look at from all indication, they are not after this.
All right.
They are rather pursuing things that are not even important to national development.
All right.
So I will advise, if the National Assembly will be fair to Nigeria and Nigeria, they should, as a matter of urgency, extend their oversight function. When this tax bill will be given assent or presidential assent in these two aspects.
Okay,
one,
tax collection
the tax
and usage.
administration.
Yes.
Tax administration and the use of tax revenue.
All right.
If they can do this, it will help us.
Thank you very much.
Let me pause here. Others will definitely call.
Exactly.
In the program, if there's time, I will still call. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much for calling. You had
Okay, Hamza. So I think that the answer to the issues or the question he raised is right inside the statement he made. There is a breakdown of trust between the governed and the government. You understand? I think that in the past, our grandparents, shuddered when the taxman came around, because there was, plenty of respect between the citizen and the tax collector. You understand?
So they don't want to offend the tax collector.
Exactly, there was a respect.
And there was no fear that what he will collect will be misused.
Exactly, and more importantly, they knew that if they didn't pay, the law will fully be applied against them, whoever they were.
All right, we have
That's
another
one
caller.
aspect.
Thank you, Na-Jakku. Hello, welcome to the program.
Hello.
Yes, welcome.
Hello.
Yes, hello, we can hear you.
Yes. Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening. Who is on the line?
Hello, sir.
I can hear you. Reduce the volume of your TV set. Yes, hello? It appears we lost before we get another one.
So there was a respect, I said, between the governed and the government. And the citizen knew that he had to pay, otherwise he will, be punished for not paying his tax. And then he was also sure that his tax would be put to good use. But look, now the basic services are collapsed in this country.
And nobody knows where the tax collected is being taken.
Exactly. You dig your borehole to provide water for yourself. You probably, if you have the money,
Even solar.
Okay, electricity, yes.
Security.
Exactly, security. That's what I'm trying to say.
Even the road, maybe, communal.
Exactly, communal effort, yes. So you hire a guard, or if you are lucky, you can access police. Police maybe guards here. So, but for people who are far from the government, who are common people, there is no electricity for them. There is no security. There is no water. They are, grappling with bad roads.
So maybe some of them, they don't even bother what is happening around the tax reform bills. As far as they are concerned, they don't have any business with it.
Yeah, they are concerned with gari and rice and beans and water, how to feed their families.
All right. Hello, we have another caller. Hello.
Hello, good evening, Hamza Idris.
Yes, good evening, Shamaki. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good evening once again, the guest in the studio.
Yes, Abu Na-Jakku, yes. Go ahead.
You see, with these tax reform bills, I'm highly discouraged. The way taxes are being increased for daily basis. Some of us that we are managing buying data to browse and the other things has been multiplied times 2. The increase of recharge card has been shoot up. So many things. So with the way things are going, if assuming this tax reform bill come to stay, I don't even know how things will look like or will change in the country. So to me, I'm confused because of what is going on. I'm not even in support. That's too much. That's the truth.
Are you saying, Shamaki? Are you saying government should suspend everything about the tax reform bills for now and concentrate on other things?
In fact, if possible.
All right.
If possible.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Now, I want you to quickly answer, because once we open the line, you see tons of calls coming in. The question I asked about getting access to people's account details.
Okay, very good. Very good question, Hamza. You see, this will play into the hands of a tyrannical government, of an oppressive government. And let me tell you this. This could be used against the opposition.
Again.
Very well. Very well. This can be used against the opposition, because they can use it to squeeze the opposition. If SDP or PDP or some other political party, for example, receives funds from members or from some well-to-do,
the ruling party will just ask the tax office or the bank through the banks.
to seal or probably to close the account or to squeeze the money or to, stop the party.
Or to use trump-up charges.
Exactly. And then, it will be used for financial surveillance, to give advantage.
And as a banker, someone who worked at the CBN, this is not really in line with best practices internationally. Before you answer, let me pick this call. Hello, welcome to the program.
Hello?
Yes, hello, good evening.
Good evening, this is Silvano.
Okay, Silvanus?
Yes, calling from Niger State.
Okay, Silvanus, you are welcome to Sunday Politics.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, go ahead, we are running out of time.
Okay, my comment is this.
Yes.
This government is called to state. Okay, a minute. This government comes to state, tinubu government.
Okay. Come to what?
If you like,
To stay.
come to stay.
Okay, to stay. Okay, reduce the volume of your
Yes.
TV set quickly so that we can hear you.
Okay, let me move out of there.
Yes.
This government comes to stay. If your station like turns out tomorrow, tinubu and wicked government come to stay. Now 8 years. If you like, may increase all the tariff, we will endure. Where your station dey, where Buhari dey govern Nigeria as he like.
Okay.
Where your station dey.
We've been here. And there no TV station put the Buhari administration to task as Trust TV. You know it, Silvanus. If you are fair.
With no tenant vote or no, tinubu will spend 8 years. Take it or you leave it.
We are not talking about that. We are talking about the tax reform bills. You are free.
Converting, tariff. As of today, everybody knows this government is trying. See 4 and 5 for the 4. Let them give this government time. See what is going on in FCT. Everywhere in FCT is construction company. Look at security is improving.
Okay, good. Then what is your take? I want your take.
For example,
Yes, Silvanus, I want your take on the tax reform. We agree, Tinubu can be there for 8 years, is his constitutional right. And then you are also entitled to your own opinion. Nobody is contesting that. You understand?
Thank you.
Here is actually a platform for people to ventilate whether what they like or otherwise. We
like it.
We are not for anybody.
Increase everything. Now let it increase everything. We endure. The government is moving west. PSC, for example, have you been to Abuja since this month?
I'm right now in Abuja.
Performing everywhere. Go to Abuja in person. Go and see the handwork of this government.
It's all right.
Hamza, I want to appreciate this government, please.
All right. Thank you very much, Silvanus. Thank you. We hope you will call again. Yes.
Okay, so Silvanus is talking about a government which has multiplied the cost of petrol, liter of a petrol at a filling station from 190 to about 800 naira plus. And the Minister of Finance goes to the National Assembly, and the National Assembly manages to courageously ask, okay, how much have you made now? How much proceeds have you made from the increase in petroleum? And the man says, close the door. I don't want to talk about it. You are taking money from us from filling stations, from petrol stations, and you don't even have the respect to tell us how much you have put together. What are you doing with the money?
So if I understand what you are trying to say, Silvanus is being sentimental.
He's being sentimental.
Okay.
I'm sure he's probably is doing well. But,
all right.
But I know how many people call me from the village and tell me they have not eaten for 2 days.
Okay.
And I have just told you,
we'll take our last caller. Yes.
130 million Nigerians were plunged into poverty by this government.
All right, who's on the line? You must be a lucky person, and you'll be the last caller.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, please, briefly, we'll give you less than 1 minute to put out your points. Yes.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Tony. I'm calling from Memoirs.
Okay, you are welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yes, please articulate your point in less than 1 minute because we have run out of time already.
Okay, I think the tax reform is not bad.
Okay.
Because as it is now, you look at so many states, some states they are just lazy. And some content in this tax reform we revive some governors to look inward to see what they can do. But as it is now, most of states in Nigeria, they believe that at the end of the month they go to Abuja and collect and come back, and then some of them misuse it. But this tax reform will bring our state governors to work and not to go and collect and eat.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your take. Let me have your final take on the whole of this. Maybe what the National Assembly must do.
Okay, so the National Assembly must look into those issues for which Nigerians have raised concern.
Okay.
This VAT, you don't need to increase VAT. The country, majority of a great number, of Nigerians were already very, very poor. I don't think we can pay, any more tax.
And the surveillance should be shelved.
What?
The surveillance of the accounts of people.
Well, the surveillance, even in advanced countries, actually, the political authorities have information about that. But the trouble in this kind of country is that it's going to be politicized.
It will be abused.
The sitting government will use it to persecute others, to perpetuate itself.
Meaning we have a lot of work to do.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Na-Jakku, Public Policy Analyst, Deputy Director of the Central Bank of Nigeria, for coming to the program and for your informed perspective.
Former Deputy Director, before they say I'm a
General is still General.
I'm retired.
Yes, retired Deputy Director. We thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And we hope to have you some other time.
And
viewers, for those who succeeded in calling, thank you. Those who tried and were unable to make it, try your luck next week. Tomorrow, Daily Politics will be here. Bye-bye from here. I'm Hamza Idris.